Jesus' divinity is revealed in his dominance over death. Grace and peace, everybody. Welcome to Sabbath School Study Group. This is part number 4 of our 5-part series looking at the signs of divinity through the book of John. Jesus is the Son of God. Jesus is God in the flesh, and he is our Redeemer, our Passover, and our light out of this darkness. How dark? Even the shadow of death. Before we look at that story in John 11, I want to thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Don't just fly over like this plane you might be hearing now. Make sure you take the time to subscribe, hit that like button, and by all means, share the video with somebody else. Not only do we want you to watch the video, go check out the studies. Those studies are at changeministry.org. We have an entire health page. There are hundreds of recipes, naturopathic remedies, and just good stuff that you can use and do every day in preparation for our best life in the kingdom. John chapter 11 is one of my favorite chapters because it is probably the most powerful miracle that Jesus performs, and we could always debate what are the highlights. You know, when we talk about different people and what their greatest moments were, you can do the same thing with Jesus and more, because even John says he did so much that there's no room and there was no book that was big enough to record it all. So John 11 highlights this miracle because he deals with our greatest enemy, death. John 11:40, Jesus saith unto her, talking to Lazarus, his sister, said I not unto thee that if thou wouldest believe, thou shouldest see the glory of God? Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead was laid. And look at what Jesus does. He lifts up his eyes and said, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me, and I knew that thou hearest me always, but because of the people which stand by, I said it, that they may believe that thou hast sent me. Jesus is praying out loud. And that is one of the things that the Bible encourages us to do, that we should lift our voice up in the morning. We should pray aloud. There's value in audible prayer. But Jesus doesn't do this because he's afraid that God might not hear him. He literally says, I know that you hear me. And the only reason I'm saying this out loud is so that they can quote me on it. They can quote me on it, but more importantly, so they will know that you've sent me. I want them to know that I have the power over death that you have given to me. So we're not just dealing with death in theory, but he's going that direction. He's headed to die death for us, not just going to sleep, but the second death that all will suffer on the other side of the second resurrection, based on what we read in Revelation chapter 19 and 20. So if you look at what Jesus is trying to get us to understand, it's a divine truth. And that is that death is real, but so is God. Death is the consequence of sin, but Christ has conquered the consequence of sin. Even here in Malachi, it's speaking prophetically where it says, for behold, the day cometh, that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, we talked about that, that was right off the top, that first study, the group that Jesus goes away from, even all that do wickedly, they shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts. So here we see the idea of there being this eternal burning, not the case. Eventually, the wicked will be consumed. Hell burns, but it doesn't burn forever. That it shall leave them neither root nor branch. But unto you that fear my name shall the Son of Righteousness arise, with healing in his wings. We talked about that from Isaiah 60. Here we are in Malachi 4. And it says, you shall go forth and grow up as calves of the stall. Ye shall tread down the wicked, because they've been consumed. For they shall be ashes under the soles of your feet, in the day that I shall do this, saith the Lord of hosts. So where do we see him? The Son of Righteousness shall rise with healing in his wings. His authority over death is revealed there in John 11, and it's prophesied, and that's our hope in Malachi chapter 4. So because of Christ, we don't just overcome death, he is going to destroy death. One more verse, it's here in Hebrews chapter 2, saying, I will declare thy name unto my brethren in the midst of the church, while I sing praise unto thee. And again, I will put my trust in him. And again, behold, I and the children which God hath given me. For as much then as the children are partakers of flesh and blood, he also himself likewise took part of the same, that through death he might destroy him that had the power of death, That is the devil. You see what Jesus does? It's through his apparent defeat that he defeats the devil. He chooses to lay down, but God brings him back up. That shows us his relationship to the Father, but also his power over sin, because he's even going to defeat the worst consequence of sin. That while death is an end, because of Jesus, it's going to end. We have this hope and we have this faith. And what Jesus wants us to see is beyond the grave and on to glory.